Wow, look at the room, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. Every week. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Brentwood. We have a lot of guests in the room, so welcome. We're especially glad to see you guys today. We have a great program, but we're going to start off with some business. Our invocation today will be led by Rob Eichert and our Pledge of Four-Way Test by Dick Bowers.
I need to all do this, but our dear friend, told us the young person died last week. His funeral is Saturday afternoon, 2:00, Brentwood Baptist. If you want to see, talk to the family, probably come at least an hour early. And but it's if death could ever be a blessing, it is, because he was a very, 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 very sick man. So just keep him and his family in our prayers.
Okay. Thank you. Please pray with me. Almighty God, we praise you today for your holiness, your grace, and your mercy. Thank you, Lord, for giving us everything we need and for the many mercies you've bestowed upon us and our neighbors during our recent difficulties. We pray that through your guidance, this organization can be a benefit to our community in a way that is characterized by truth, fairness, and goodwill. We ask that you bless the proceedings of today's meeting in a way that edifies and that redounds to your glory. Bless this food to our nourishment and us to your service. All this I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it true? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and friendships? And fourth, be beneficial to all concerned.
All right, and we have a lot of guests in the rooms, and our secretary, Jennifer Shepard, is going to introduce everybody.
Hey, everybody. What a difference a week makes. Can you believe how warm and sunny it is? Wasn't it great to go outside without your winter coat today? We have a lot of guests, so I'm going to try to go through this in a little bit fast forward. I'm going to start with the Friends and Family edition. We've got Jeff Bourne, who is Mr. Jennifer Bourne. And is it Jamie Dawson? Yeah, it's small. It's cute. Well, we're really going to have it all here. We also have Brad Glossinger, right here in front of me. Yes, it's Mark McFerrin. Randy Swanson, because we're about to bring up. Stacy Davis. Stacy Davis, yes, Davis, but non-profit ways, right? Right. And then we've got a couple of members that are in the pipeline to make sure you know Robert Adenoff over here. And you take it when I introduce you. I'm gonna keep introducing you until you're officially inducted as a member. And then Kimberly Calcoat. Oh, you were here last week, and now she's here again, and now she's in the membership pipeline. And then I'm not going to speak your steps to the wall. Thank you.
All right. We've got a couple of announcements today. To kick us off, Lennis is going to talk to us about the grant applications.
Just a quick reminder for those of you who weren't here last week, the major gift application window is open. The BRCCF gives away 3 to 5 $10,000 gifts to local organizations that are doing good works in our community. You also got an email with a copy of the application last week. A reminder, those applications are due no later than the end of the meeting, March 7th, 4 weeks from today. So please get the applications in. We want to spread money around and do good in our community. And we appreciate your sponsorship of those organizations.
All right. Thank you, Linus. Okay, a couple announcements. New Facebook page. I mentioned that a couple times over the last couple weeks. So if you guys are on social media, we also have Instagram. So like us, we'll share some stuff through those portals. Another thing that we're going to be working to change over the next couple of weeks, if you noticed, if you read Reflections this week, the very top of Reflections, I put in the RSVP link. So you get it Sunday night and you're going to get it in Reflections for the next couple of weeks. And I will share this every week. And then we're going to be shifting to one correspondence with RSVP being in Reflections at the very top every single week. And I'll send it out on Monday. So we'll give you some time to transition that, but Bob and I are working on that when he gets back from New Zealand. So if you have any questions, let me know. All right. And then John, do you want to tell us about Pancake Day?
Sure. Tickets are on the table, April 18th. Ticket. So start handing those out to your friends and neighbors who you would like to come to the event. We'll set up on the 17th at Brentwood High School. And we'll have posters in the next week or so. But we've got plenty of tickets. So if you need more than that, I've got 6,000. So.
Okay. And then Laura's going to come up and talk to us about some service opportunities.
All right, so we rescheduled the Rise Against Hunger event because we got preempted by all the gross weather. So that has now been rescheduled for February the 28th. That is a county-wide Rotary service event. So we need to show up and represent our club really well. That's going to be at Franklin High School. All of these service opportunities are put in your Ignite app so that you can log service hours and keep track of that. That really helps our club when you say where you're serving and how you're serving. So please make sure you do that. GraceWorks Serve Day for February is the 21st. So it's the week before. So go ahead and put that on your calendar as well. We have a sign up on the events page. So kind of works the same way that you do an RSVP for a regular lunch. So please show up. We want to, again, represent our club well. But the big one coming up is tomorrow, and that is Little Harpeth. And so, Patrick, do you want to talk about that, or you want me to say something? Okay, so there's a sign up on each table. So if you are able to be there, we want you to sign up. If you don't feel capable of walking the route and picking up trash, that is okay. But we want you to show up and represent our club. This is the city's largest environmental service project, the whole city, and we're in charge of it. So we need to represent well. If you have Rotary apparel, wear it. We want to make sure that our city knows that our club cares about the city. So whether or not you're able to do the heavy lifting or finger wagging, because that's kind of what some of it is. If you're a section leader, you're kind of just telling people what to do and monitoring and making sure children don't jump in the river. I had one jump in the river a couple years ago. It was an accident, but not my fault, I promise. But tell your neighbors, tell your friends. A lot of people in our community have FOMO, fear of missing out. And so they don't schedule stuff until the very last minute because they want to make sure nothing better is going to show up. So tell them today that this is tomorrow. So come to the library in the morning and represent Rotary, and let's serve our community.
Thank you, Laura. If you guys don't have Rotary apparel, see me after the meeting. I think somewhere in there is some shirts, and we can go through there and we'll get you something if they're in there. Okay, Devin. Next up is Happy Bucks.
It's Happy Bucks time. Who is happy on this glorious ice melted Friday? Anybody? Oh, there we go. Mr. Greenup.
I think I put in $100 last week. Mike's here today. I want to thank him. He took my wife and I in for a couple of days and even invited us to stay the second night. Shirley wanted to stay, but I thought it was
So you were tired of opted out of the kind. Okay, that's fair. That's all good. Larry. Hey.
Yeah, I'm up walking around the room. I've got $1 because I'm tickled to death that there's 76 people here. That is outstanding. Unfortunately, we had 63 RSVPs. So we're about out of food. We got 1 chair left. And so please, hadn't had this in a long time. Please RSVP. Okay, it's easy. Can't be that hard. We're okay today, but we're close. Thank you.
We'll put the $1 in towards the extra food. PDG Bowers, I'm behind you.
I am very, very, very happy because 7 days with no power, back in the house, I got a shower, and I'm warm and toasty.
All right, I'm moving over across the room. Nobody? Come on. Oh, there we go, Kip. Kip's happy because he gets to hang out with his mom. That is a big treat.
Yeah, I'm happy. First of all, I didn't lose power. I was happy about that. But yeah, my mom was a Rotarian in 1988. 86. Okay. Well, one of the first Rotarians that was a woman in that period. And very first in her club. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. And
excellent. Thank you. Yes. You mean stand and wait? There you go. Thank you, Kip. Anybody else? All right, Madam President.
All right. Okay, I forgot one opportunity. If you saw my list, you can see why I forgot. Steve, why don't you share with us about the reading?
I did want to mention the reading we're doing for the elementary schools. Do a quick update. We had a little change, of course, from the weather last week, but we've got one scheduled for Crockett Elementary, which is a new school we're into. I've actually got some extra schools. My point of saying this is we got a great group of people already reading, but I need some more just because I don't want to we're going to be doing more reading in the fall and the spring. So if you're interested in reading to kids, it's a blast. I love doing it. The people, I got a great group that is doing it. But if you feel like you want to join this group of cool kids that we get together with, let me know. Okay. Or you can, I guess my information is in there. We'll send out the information in the Rotary thing. So anyway, if you want to be involved, please let me know. Thanks.
All right. And if you're ever curious what you read, this book that they sign every week is what you read to the kids. You're welcome to take a look at it. Okay. So next up, they don't know this, but we're going to go into our presentation. And I asked Lynn Tucker to come today to introduce our moderator, Charles Booth. If you've not met Charles yet, he's our communications director. And so if you'll come share us a little bit about Charles. She knows him better.
So I am very happy to introduce my friend Charles. He is, and I just got this bio right now, so I hope I don't mess it up. In 2003, the city of Brentwood named Charles as the new community relations director. He's a former reporter with more than 2 decades of related experience in the Middle Tennessee area. He comes to the city with, and I didn't know this, 22 years of journalism and public sector communications and marketing experience. And for those of you who know Deanna Lambert, he was the next Deanna Lambert, yeah, but he's doing a wonderful job. He served as director of communications at Austin Peay, a position that accounted for almost 5 of his 15 years with the communications department at the university. He also served as a reporter for the Tennessean from 2004 to 2008. Covering stories in Williamson and Rutherford County. He graduated from the University of Tennessee, lives in Williamson County with his wife Danica and his son Reynolds. And he is our current chair of our Leadership Brentwood program for Williamson Inc. And he and I work closely together, and we are very fortunate in our city to have him as our marketing communications director. So Charles, thanks.
Thank you. All right. With Charles today is Mike Huff. And he asked me to do the introduction. So I'm very pleased and honored to introduce Mike Huff. He is one of our newest members to our club. Mike moved here to Brentwood in 1950. He went to Lipscomb Elementary and also to Franklin High School. Graduated from MTSU with a marketing major and an economics minor. He went to the University of Colorado, where he studied marketing and the School of Banking. Is that right? Good. Then he came back to Nashville. He was the director of advertising for Nashville City Bank. He worked as the marketing director for Harper's National Bank. So maybe that's how him and Larry met, is in that banking season. He was a partner for Huff's Food Town and also vice chairman of the board for B.I. Wright Foods. He has some background in the insurance world with one company he wishes me not to name, and also Robbins Insurance. He crossed it out. So he was the president of the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce and also the chairman of the Economic Development Committee here in the city of Brentwood. He moved to Florida a few years ago, but he loved Brentwood so much. Now he's back and he's excited to jump in and serve and to be part of our community again, and also a Brentwood member of the Rotary Club. So please welcome Charles and Mike.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, great. Well, this is really actually about Mr. Huff. He's the main attraction in this duo. I'm the Garfunkel. So but I'm really excited to be here today because I've been in Brentwood area in Williamson County for about 3 years. And we get to learn about some of the history today. We get a glimpse of it. And so I just kind of want to do a quick poll. How many people moved here within the last 10 years? Okay, that's a pretty good number. All right, let's go 20 years. Or a little less. 30 years? We'll keep going. 40 years? Wow. 50 years. Wow. All right, I'm going to keep going. 60? All right. All right. That's it. All right. We'll go one more. 70 years. Wow.
That's really great because now I don't have to worry about anybody checking.
So Brentwood incorporated in 1969. So let's go back 20 years prior, 49. I think the math works. So is that the year that the family moved? Okay, great. Well, so what brought y'all here to Brentwood?
Well, I want to introduce my son Dawson, who is here today, my guest. And I'm proud of him and proud of my family, and I'm glad he's back to helping me with this 1-year-old and 3. Michael on the face. Make sure that it's pressed up.
Oops. Oh, user error. Yeah. So my dad had a flatbed truck that he hired out. He would haul groceries, concrete, bricks, you name it, lumber, and he was on his way back from Nashville at the train yards and hauling bricks to build Trinity School on Wilson Pike. And he stopped in a little grocery store, I guess about every day for lunch because it was several days of delivery. And the guy was complaining about it. And the guy said, you know, I really want to sell this thing. My dad says, well, I'd like to buy it. How much? And he said, $2,400, $2,000 for the building and $400 for the delivery truck. Dad said, okay. He went to the bank the next day, borrowed the money, and went back and bought the grocery store. That was in August of 1949.
Wow.
He bought it with his brother who lived in Knoxville at the time that moved here. And my uncle worked in it for a couple of years with Dad, and then he decided he could make more money driving a beer truck. So he left, and a few years later, he was sheriff of Williamson County from 1960 to 1972.
So what was Brentwood like I'm assuming 3 years old, you said, when you first moved here?
I remember a lot of things, and I remember a lot of things that I thought I remembered. So my parents would have to tell me what was going on. This picture I hate because it was in historic Brentwood, and Vance Little did the book. And it's the only time in my life I was skinnier than me. I'm the one on the right, the fat kid on the left, and he got it wrong. So he did a correction. But it was on the index page at the back of the book, and everybody still thinks that I'm a fat kid with the guitar. Well, it's crazy. It was not. I mean, it was. Do I need to go through some of the? Well, this was our delivery truck. Everybody thought that was my brother, but that was my uncle in that picture. And the delivery truck was the blizzard of 1951. You think we had a bad storm this time? That was incredible. We had like 5 inches of snow and then rain and sleet for the next day or two. It was 65 degrees when it started, and it wound up being on Tuesday morning 13 degrees below zero. And it stayed below zero for 3 days.
Wow.
Was out for a couple of weeks, but my dad was pretty smart. NES came out, and they stopped in the store, and he had a pot-bellied stove that kept the store warm, and he fixed sandwiches for all the workmen. Guess whose power came on first?
So did y'all, where were you living when you were living in?
We had a little house. We'll show you, but I wanted to go back to the street, Lennis, if you would. That was downtown Brentwood in like 1961. And when there was a sign ordinance issue before, when I was a member of the chamber, and they said the signs were the clutter in Brentwood. So I had Russell Ray stand at one end of the top of the hill and shoot north, and I had him go to Oakley Boulevard and shoot south, and we airbrushed out all the telephone poles. Guess what the clutter? I gave pictures to the commissioners, and they kind of backed off our sign ordinance issue.
Wow.
Yeah, the house, I'm sorry. By the way, this is a rock star. He really is. I appreciate all the work he's done, because I've been sending pictures to him.
Huh.
And this man put together a great questionnaire that just absolutely flowed with what I wanted to talk about. So thank you, Charles.
Well, thank you. So this is the house that you.
This was the house. If anyone knows where the store building is, where Stitcher's Garden is, this was the little white house that stayed there forever until the hotel built. It did not have a bathroom. We bathed in the sink. I don't know how mom and dad cleaned up, but anyway, we had an outhouse. Now, people today, I guess they go to the bathroom, but you didn't take their time or whatever. You didn't take your time when you went to the outhouse in the winter. A lot of reasons. Much of that.
So what, the business community, we saw some pictures in the 60s, but what was the business community like, Brentwood?
Okay, as I remember it, because some have come and gone, and I may be a little off on my history, and Ray Little's family knows a bunch about this, and that's where his grandfather's service station was after this building was torn down. This was Brentwood Pharmacy. Dr. Ed Barker was president of the Chamber of Commerce when Brentwood incorporated in 1969. Great sodas. He had a soda fountain in there, Coke float sodas. It was done the old-fashioned way, and that was a big treat for everybody. Bobby Rutledge was former president of the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce. That was his barbershop, his first barbershop. And when he left, it became a doctor's office. He was not very good. That was on the northwest corner where the Shell station is now. It's the one on the west side of Franklin Road. This was Pewitt Brothers Garage. This was the first full service station in Brentwood. Emory Pewitt and his brother Luther owned that. And Pewitt Drive, you've heard of Pewitt Drive. He and his brother ran that and everybody was pretty much a customer. They were at that time the only service station in Brentwood. They moved further than the Exxon station is now. So they had a big building, had big bays, and they were right next to the Brentwood Motel. We'll get to that picture in a minute. This was the first post office that I knew of, and was placed back behind that. I think one of them was where the Enterprise place used to be at the end of the little shopping strip there. This, I would like for anybody to tell me if they know where this is. This is a big intersection in Brentwood. It's 2 miles from here. That's Concord Road and Franklin Road.
Wow. Change.
We moved here. This was Nobles. It was a pharmacy. It was a restaurant, and it had a lot of different names over the years. It was Nobles, then it was Duconi's in the early 50s, then it was back to Nobles, and then it was Leveda's, then it was back to Nobles, and then it was back to Nobles again. So that's where the Walgreens store, yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is Truman Ward, Maryland Farms, Truman Ward. That's one of his prized thoroughbreds. What? American. Oh, thank you. Not supposed to fact check.
And this is Farms.
This is restaurant. And if you can see, there's no, but there is a path. And we used to deliver groceries there, and you could not get there from Church Street or Hardscuffle, which I'll talk about in a minute. You had to go, Hardscuffle ended at Franklin Road. You had to go down to Old Hickory Boulevard, turn left, and turn where Chewy's is now, and go down, and when it is now, it curved and went all the way to the right. This is and you can see the racetrack that was there. They actually had thoroughbred racing there back in the 40s, and actually we had a Brentwood horse show in 1969. Chamber sponsored that. I've been trying to figure it out. There's see the barn back there. You recognize, and there's the lake that's over there on Ward Circle.
Is that the old YMCA barn, or is that
no?
Okay.
That was their actual barn. That's about midway through Maryland Farms. Before, I mean, their house, I think, is just to the left, somewhere this way.
Wow. Okay, well, this is what I'm interested in is nighttime. Well, it's a small town. Is there anything to do in Brentwood?
Well, this is the most fun part of the presentation. This has always been the biggest topic when I did History Day for Leadership Brentwood for the Brentwood Chamber years and years ago. And at one point, there were 4 nightclubs on Boulevard and Church Street, or Hardscuffle at the time. And there were 2 on Wilson Pike. I don't remember all the names. This was gone by the time we moved to Brentwood, but this was about where Corky's and the Exxon station is. The county line ran through the middle of this building, and there's a significance to that. The Williamson County Sheriff hated liquor and gambling. Williamson County Sheriff was used to it and put up with it. This is before my uncle, so it's not a family. When the Davidson County Sheriff would come out, or the Nashville Sheriff would come out, they would move the liquor and the gambling machines to Williamson County. And if the sheriff in Williamson County were to come out, moved it to Davidson County. Now, Brentwood was a super hot spot for nightclubs. There were no businesses from Brentwood to Nashville, except in Melrose. So the people that came out were ready to party. They had no place to party. They knew that they could probably get arrested in Nashville if they went to places in Nashville, which they had to brown bag like they did here. they could come out to Brentwood, and it was a long way from downtown Nashville and from the sheriff's office. So it was kind of a nice, easy place for them to come. And there was drinking, there was dancing, and there was gambling. And I'm sure there was a lot of.
So this is pre Interstate 65 coming through, right?
Yeah, this is actually pre us moving to Brentwood. This was in the before the Prohibition period, but that was a really beautiful building.
And so there were other nightclubs.
Oh, yeah. This was one of the flyers that we found online. This was the Palms Club. And then the next flyer is the Stork Club. I never could figure out that name. Why? He had to do some of the babies. I don't know. And then there was the Rendezvous. Oh, okay. Oh, this is a good stop. Tower Courts. It is right where the entrance to Woodway is. If you'll notice, these little garages, they were for privately parking your car. And next door was the Ship Ahoy, and it was a nightclub. And I'm sure they did a lot of business together. And I think this is the Rendezvous. And I had a personal experience from being at this club when I was 4 years old. They were centers to keep to the patrons. You see there's the back room. And if you can see the basement right here, that's where they were gambling machines when they needed to move. But they had a dance floor, good music, a lot of fun people. Never seemed to be any problems with people over imbibing. Well, I knew of it 4 years ago.
This is the veterinary office now.
And to have babysitters, that's way ahead of your time. I mean, come and party, and mom and dad are fine, and then they take the kids home.
Yeah. And is this the Traveler's Rest, famous?
Yeah, this has the nightclub scene in and around Brentwood. So the Noble's on that.
I have a question on the nightclub scene. What would the wait staff? I think you had talked about they were more formal.
At the first one, the big building there, they had fine dining. The waiters wore tuxedos, the bartenders wore tuxedos and white gloves, and it was a big deal. I mean, it was like Lucy and Desi Arnaz's club or something. And
that's great. And then are we? You were mentioning Church Street. You were calling it Hard Scuffle.
Yes.
So, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. Hard Scuffle was named because it was a hard scuffle from one end to the other. The original road was basically rock and gravel and stuff that they brought to just make a way through there. And it was an African American community. My dad's store was right there by that community. In fact, our house was 2 doors down from several African American families, and behind the store building before the interstate came through, that was all African American. And they were great folks. I mean, we kind of grew up together because of segregation and all that good stuff. There was never really palling and doing a lot of stuff together, but we all lived together in the same neighborhood. Some of us played ball together. They were shopped at the store. Dad had as many African American customers as he did white customers. And most of them worked for a lot of the big landowners out here and just normal, everyday, good people. And they had charge accounts. We had charge accounts at the store, which I will talk about.
Yeah, I was curious about that because, we go to the store now, you just give your debit card, but how did the charge accounts work at your store?
We had a little shelf type thing that had little bad books that you just wrote in the charge and gave them a copy of it, and you kept it. And at the end of the month, you'd go through and add it up, and they'd come in and pay it the next day. With the African American community, they would bring in their Social Security or welfare checks. Dad would cash them, give them the cash, and take whatever they owed us. And there were never any surcharges. There were never any extra. We never lost a dime with charging, and that was for all of our customers. It was kind of like a status symbol because a lot of the rich people that lived out here shopped at the store, and their names were on the end of the book, so you could see their names. And people were like, "I'd like to have one of those books." Well, we've got a little brown ledger book. We'll put it in for now. But when a book space comes available, can we have one? Because they wanted their name shown on the little thing.
That's just a level of trust I don't think about now. I would be nervous.
What Dad used to take the chicken feed and the oats, 100-pound bags of oats and corn, and then leave stuff out. We had a big kerosene pump for kerosene lamps for people that didn't have electricity. Nobody was going to think you'd leave your door unlocked. So it was a nice, safe community that was fun to grow up in.
So every community has its own unique characters.
Oh, Scuffle definitely had some unique characters. Was John Ed Bills. You know what church is on Frierson Street? That's now the theater, Brentwood Theater. But John Ed went to the house to the north of that church. He was our town drunk. He was a college graduate. He was smart as anybody you'd ever want to meet. Very articulate, super nice, very mild mannered. That was only 10% of the time. The police would come to arrest him. They wouldn't take him to jail. They'd just take him to mom and put him in bed and whatever. But he lived with his mother till I guess he was about 50 years old when he finally died. One of the best stories is Ms. Waters. Several Waters families and cousins that lived up and down Hardscouple. Mary's was the first African American principal in Williamson County schools after integration. He was at Page. Mr. J.C. Bradford of J.C. Bradford Brokerage. Like Circle, which is below Target, the road that runs by the railroad track that goes into Creephall. He told Mays, if you continue to work for me and help me until you get out of high school, I'll put you through college. And he did. There's a video, Hardscouple video, that we were going to show, but it was too long and there was no way to cut it in half. And I hope that someday you all will get to see it and listen to these friends that I grew up with them. So.
Yeah, so imagine you knew everybody in the Hardscouple in Brentwood at that time.
Everybody knew everybody. You get in trouble. Story about one of the Hardscouple guys. Curtis Gentry lived little place is with his family, and he was a little guy, and they picked on him a lot. And there was a basketball goal by the school. There was an elementary school that was African American only. But they played in pickup games, and there was a guy named Duck who was really mean. I don't even know what his Merriman, I think, was his last name, but I don't remember what his first name was. But Duck's all we knew about. He kept shoving Curtis in this basketball game. Finally knocked him down, and Curtis had had enough, and there happened to be a 2x4 laying down beside him. Guess what he did with that 2x4? He laid Duck out, and he was gone. And Duck and started yelling for Curtis. The next thing I know, there is a shootout at the intersection of Wilson Pike Circle and Church Street now. Shooting at Curtis. So we did have some characters there, and he wound up being a metropolitan policeman, great guy, but was killed. He was not Duck, Curtis. Yeah. But he was killed answering a domestic dispute. He was stabbed to death.
I'm sorry to hear that. So the Brentwood landscape, we have the railroad tracks, the bridges, the landmarks like WSM. From what I know, that was at up when you were?
Yeah, it was. And the whole time I was at Lipscomb Elementary, I was afraid it was going to fall on the school. It's 840 feet tall. It's a full radio wavelength. And at one time they had an FM designation, and it was like a 40-foot tower on top. And then when they got their 650 AM designation, they took that down. I actually had a client, an insurance client, that changed the light bulbs at the top of that tower.
Oh, wow. You insured them?
Yeah. Okay. History of the Huff's Grocery and the Huff Purchase, whatever. This was the house of Robert I. Moore. Robert I. Moore Sunday School class at Brentwood United Methodist Church. Everybody's probably heard of. This was his mansion. This was my store building is now, the new building. We actually cut it in half and moved it down to on Wilson Pike Circle right beside the house I grew up in, and it's where Colorburst landscaping building is now. The next building is the house I grew up in. I don't have a picture of that. Okay. This is a painting done by one of my customers before this building was taken down. This is where my parking lot is. I did not know this until yesterday. That was the first house built in Brentwood, 1857. It looked like it was built in 1857. When we were there. It was they even had wooden pegs instead of nails. Polishing the house, we were going to try to tear it down and save some of the stuff. The guy knocked out this post right here. When that post went down, the building collapsed.
Oh,
Not there. Seriously.
oh, wow.
That was my dad. And that was a picture. That was a magazine that was done for Supermarket Magazine for our new store. And Dad held up that copy. He was talking about how coffee was 20 cents a pound when we moved to Brentwood. Cigarettes were 20 cents, for 5 cents, 5 cents deposit for the bottles.
So being in the grocery business, did you ever get any strange requests? You mentioned a little something about lettuce the other day.
Oh yeah, but y'all don't hear many grocery jokes. There was this grocery store, and we walked over to the produce department. There was a young man putting up some new lettuce, new corn and stuff. And the guy looked at him and said, "Young man, I'd like to buy half a head of lettuce." The young man says, "I'm not sure." Back and asked me. So he goes back to the prep room in the produce department, and he didn't realize the guy was following him. He said, "There's some idiot out there that wants to buy a half a head of lettuce." He goes, and this finds that was my dad. That was the old store. This was you have the wide, yeah. Okay, it looks today. My brother owns this building. This part we built on last, that was a concrete back room, storage room. This contained the meat department and part of the produce department. And then this was where the groceries were. My dad added on twice. He put an appliance store, once, and we sold refrigerators, freezers, you name it. And decided that wasn't making enough money, so we turned it into a bigger grocery area.
Well, I know we have about 10 minutes left. We want to get questions. So can I ask a few about the sport? My son plays soccer. Was there any kind of sports leagues or anything?
Yeah. Pike, it was really great. We had my next door neighbor had a fenced in backyard, and we built our own baseball field. We went up into the woods, cut down 4 pine trees, shaved them off, stuck them in the ground, put chicken wire around it, and that was our backstop. And we had all these teams come out to play. Our little Sandlot team from Creve Hall and Tusculum area, and they would come with their brand new uniforms, and we had our T-shirts on, jeans, and tennis shoes. They never beat us.
Wow.
And so that too, and I would say this in my 7th and 8th grades, lost one game in 2 years, with county champions twice. And it was the basic hub of that group in our backyard.
That's amazing. So we had sports and we had Boy Scouts were a big part of this community.
Yeah, lastly, I want to talk about Billy Jim Vaughn. I was a member of Troop 1. I was an Eagle Scout at Troop 1. And Billy Jim Vaughn was the greatest influence on my life outside my father. When I joined the Scouts, I was 11 years old, and they had a game they called Fox in the Morning, and it was like a football field. You had two sidelines, and you put one person out in the middle, and you had people on both ends. First guy in the middle would tackle somebody, and those two would tackle somebody until there was nobody left to tackle. Well, I was feeling pretty cool, and Billy Jim had a heart attack the year before, and he's out there in the middle with everybody else. He's 55 years old, and I thought I'd make one quick juke and go right around him. Next thing I know, I'm straddling me and said, "Welcome to Troop 1." But he had thousands of Eagle Scouts. Just a wonderful guy.
Yes. Well, I think we'd like to throw it out to some questions. I'll bring over the mic.
I just saw a previous picture. Brentwood used to have a passenger rail train running through here.
Oh yeah. It was there was a cut. There was a picture of the cut. If you could see it, it was actually cut twice. It was such a steep grade from the staging area down near Harding Place and I-65 down. We actually had to have a locomotive push the train up the grade, so they decided to make a cut in around 1914, and then in 1930, 31, they made the final cut down to 75 feet. And the other thing was probably that went from Nashville to Franklin, or Franklin to Nashville, and a lot of the landowners out here hated it because it came through their property. It came through the Nobles property, the Denny's property, Brentwood Country Club, McGavick Hayes property. And the businesses were afraid they'd lose all their businesses because people would go to Nashville or they go to Franklin. So it was not well accepted, but it was here.
Mike, we moved here in '79, and Jane shopped at your dad's store because that was the only one here, just about. And she got all of her produce, and he wanted to know if she wanted to put it on the bill, set up an account. But you have to tell them about your dad being an individual who, through the years, had customers come in, and if they couldn't pay, did not charge them.
Yeah, if they couldn't pay, they'd eventually pay. And we had one customer whose husband never knew that she was getting cash from Dad. She would say, "Oh, Glenn, I need $100 today." And Dad would just put the $100 on the bill, and he would be a little shocked when he got the bill, but that was their problem. You're right.
I was blessed to know the entire Huff family and went into the old food town many times, but my cousins lived on Highlee. And so we used to walk what is now Maryland Farms, and we would come into Brentwood and like boys would do at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, fool around, go to my granddad's station, go to my Uncle Houston's station. But we would go to Huff's because of the charge accounts. And my grandfather always had one, and he's right. It was those old charge booklets. We used them at the shop for years, gas charge accounts. And we would charge candy bars. And I think those candy bars were 5 cents a piece.
They were nickel to 10 cents.
Yeah. And my grandfather, he didn't care. It was like, but we would go in and, we'd all get us a candy bar and sometimes a Coke and whatever. But we were sneaking and doing that. But yeah, that's one of my best memories. No, I know. And every time I go in any place and smell country ham, I always think of Huff's Food Town because they always had several country hams hanging and all that. So
yeah, we actually cured 150 country hams a year. We had a smokehouse behind our house, and we would get the hams, and we would do all the prep work and hang them and smoke them and cure them for a year. My dad punked me once. There was a man, Tommy Watkins, that worked for Merlin's that had a mansion. And he looked in the store one day and said, "Mr. Glenn, what do you do with chitlins?" And he says, "Well, I just usually give them away or whatever." He says, "Well, I'll help you cure all the country hams and get them ready if you let me have the chitlins." And Dad said, "Sure, Mike will help you." I don't know if you all have any idea what chitlins are, but you don't want to know.
I have a question. So Brentwood obviously is an affluent county now, and even I think in some ways even outdoes Franklin or Williamson County. So back then, I'm curious two things. What was the population about? And then was it considered a more affluent area even then? You know, a lot of affluent families?
That's a good question. In 1969, I don't know what, 1969, that the population of Brentwood was 3,393 people. So it might have been 1,000. I really don't know, but yes, it was very affluent. The Sloans, Kane Sloan, who was later bought, their company was later bought by Dillard's. They were here. The Sharps, they owned Ingelheim Farm way out Wilson Pike. That was a big, beautiful, beautiful spread. The Maslows owned most of the property where Brentwood Place shop, the big shopping center is, where TJ Maxx and all that. They owned that. The Omans owned everything on Franklin Road, south of Concord. Actually, south of Murray Lane. Yeah, there were a lot of affluent people. There weren't that many, but there were the ones that were here were very, very, very.
Could you tell us, when did 65 get cut?
That was cut in the mid-60s. Actually cut Wilson Pike in half and Old Smyrna Road. You could stand right, if you were standing right now at the intersection of Church Street and Wilson Pike Circle, you could look straight south and see the hill that goes to Old Smyrna Road. And Old Smyrna used to be continuous to Evanston Pike from Franklin Road at the corner where the Brentwood Country Club is, all the way through to Evanston Pike. 65 came through, it cut off Old Smyrna and cut off Wilson Pike, so there we had Wilson Pike Circle.
Mike, I just want to thank you for being here. I'm in tears because I've been here almost as long as since 1969. I think was the year that we moved here. And of course, we had charge accounts at my flower shop, which was right down the street from yours too. But I do remember so fondly your father and what a generous and kind soul he was.
Thank you.
And Billy Jim Vaughn, who was the scoutmaster at Troop 1 for over 80 years, which is
74.
I'm sorry.
74.
74 years. Okay. There we go. He is also an amazing man. And this Saturday night is the Troop 1 spaghetti dinner at Brentwood United Methodist Church. So if you're wanting to get out of the cold and come in after the whatever you're doing tomorrow, maybe out in the cold, and you want a nice big plate of spaghetti, please stop by, honor Billy Jim, and get a good plate of spaghetti and support Troop 1, because my son happens to be one of the Troop 1 Eagles as well, and I'm sure there's others in this room. So thank you so much.
Yeah, was an active scoutmaster just before he died at the age of 97. He was the second scoutmaster at Troop 1. It was the first troop in Tennessee. It was like in the first team in the nation. Yes.
Always heard Eddie Arnold was involved in organized wood. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Another company, Eddie Arnold and Jack Quinn, and I can't remember, there were a couple others that Brentwood wasn't going to develop until we had water, and they had the Brentwood Water Company, and that was the office of the Brentwood Water Company. But yes, he was very, very instrumental in that. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. If you have any other questions, Michael, stick around. So thank you to Charles also for coming and doing this. I'm going to have you both sign this. You know the routine. Charles, we sign in, let them know a little bit about yourself. So when they're reading, like Steve was talking about, we can share with them about the day today. So thank you, guys. Oh yeah, I know. I put him to work like in his first week as a Rotarian. Okay, couple things. I want to thank the guests, our friends and family. My honey right here. Thanks for coming. Paul and Kip's mom, Janie. Thank you for coming. Robert and Kimberly in the pipeline. Glad to have you here. And then Brad, Randy, Stacy, Dawson, and then thanks to Charles for coming, and Lynn. Thanks for coming and introducing with us. Couple things. Next week, our speaker is Randy Bradley he's the Dean of the Massey Business School at Belmont University. So if you have any interest in that, please come next Friday. If you read Reflections, I sent it out on Tuesday this week. If you want any information about Leon Partain's funeral arrangements, they are in Reflections. It is tomorrow at 2 p.m., if I remember correctly, here at Brentwood Baptist Church. Just so you guys know, the family of Rotary has already done something to honor him and his time in the club with us. So last thing, well, second to last, pancake tickets, grab some on your way out. Please share that. So we have a great event come April. And then chairs stacked up to 8 and not against the wall. Yep. I'm taking notes. If you're not there, I'm calling you. I'm just kidding, but I'll see you tomorrow.